Guys, it is hot. It's really hot. It's only 8 in the morning. Why is it so hot? Anyways, guys, let me show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully it'll cool down soon, guys. I don't know. Anyways, I have a really cool video for you guys today. And we're going to be talking about the 5 baits that I use the most during the summertime for bass fishing. As well as I'm going to do some underwater comparison to just show you guys how these baits react and their movement and why I choose the baits that I do to fish during the summertime. As well as guys, strategy. Strategy is a big key in the summertime because, as you know, I fish out of a kayak primarily, so I don't have the big engine. I can't run all over the lake, so I have to be a little bit strategic about this, and I have to plan my trips accordingly because you don't want to be out there in this heat, this blistering heat like this all day trying to find fish. You really have to locate and lock down where you're going to go. So with that being said, guys, let's roll into it. So guys, the thing I'm going to be talking about today, I want to clarify real quick. I said my top 5 summer baits. This is my top 5 plastic summer baits. Not necessarily top 5 baits because I do use deep divers and top water, and this video would be way too long. But with that being said, guys, so I want to talk about the first one. That's going to be a biffle bug. And I'll tell you guys, most of the reason my choice is for most of these baits has to do with rate of fall, has to do with the action in the water, and that's why I filmed this underwater footage for you guys so you'll be able to see it. Now the first one here, the biffle bug, I like to hop it, I like to drag it, but primarily I fish this only in timber, brush piles, log stumps, laydowns, anything of that nature that doesn't have a real concrete solid bottom. That's the key for me. That's what I found over the years works. I don't know what you guys think, that's just my personal opinion, but you guys tell me what you think. Check it out. Okay guys, and the next one up is gonna be a Wobble Head. Now the Wobble Head, the reason I particularly like this in the summertime is if I'm fishing clear lakes, natural lakes that have a lot of rock structure to them, have a lot of rock pea gravel, chunk rock, dams, things of that nature, that's where I'm going to be fishing these baits. And the reason being is because when you drag it over, it's the action it gives it as you drag it over those rocks. And that's really what stands out, and I think that's really why I get bit a lot of times on the Wobble Head, and I've had so much success with these. The other thing is the trailer on the Wobble Head. I want a trailer that's going to stand up. I don't necessarily want something that's going to lay on the ground. I know a lot of trailers sink. I want something that floats. That way it sets up like it's in attack position, like it's guarded, and those fish are more likely to go and grab it, or at least in my experience that's been the case. Okay guys, and the jig. Of course, everybody catches fish on a jig. Jig is nothing new. I mean, you can use them year round. I'm not saying they're just a summer bait. But I find that the jig is more universal in the fact that I like to run it over rocks plus on timber. I like to run it over everything. And especially in the summer months, I think there's some versatility there. There's a lot of things you can do with the jig, from hop it to drag it to swim it to, I mean, there's just a million things you can do, and a jig works out really well. But the key is, on a jig that I've found anyways, is the trailer. These net bait trailers, they create a lot of turbulence in the water going down. And that's what I look for typically. So it has a slower rate of fall in the summer. Now, a lot of people like that slower rate of fall in the winter time, but I prefer to have that slower rate of fall even during the summer months when those fish are lethargic. They're deep. It's just one of those things. That's one of my top things, is to find a trailer that's going to let that slow that rate of fall, go into those brush piles, into that timber. That way they get a good look at it and they snatch it up. So, jig. So the next one's kind of a dual purpose, and what I mean by it is it's a Texas rig, right? But a lot of times what I like to do is I like to peg that weight up, turn it into a Carolina rig. As you guys can see here, I'll peg that weight, and then you got a Carolina rig. Both those are great rigs in the summertime. Texas is just all around universal, guys. When fishing's tough, worms, that 10-inch worm, always work out. I like to use darker worms. I've just had better luck with them, but I like those big Mondo worms. That's kind of it. But the Carolina or the Texas rig, I'm putting those as one because technically it's just a pegged up weight. But I mean, I know there's other ways to do it, but that's how I do it because it's quick and fast. So guys, the underspin is deadly. Throw it up in the shallows off those flats, you know, where that creek channel runs in. Drag it off his shelves. There's a million different ways you can catch fish, but during the summer months, that's the key for me anyways. That's what I found. I don't know if you guys look at the footage, tell me what you think about the actions on these baits. Plus, it's just kind of cool to see what they look like underwater, that sort of thing. So guys, the next part of this is going to be strategy. Strategy is a major thing in the summertime, especially with a kayak. If you can't run all over the lake, you've got to be real strategic with where you're going to go and why you're going to go there. Now, here's a couple of examples that I'm going to show you, and it's basically why I've chosen these examples and why I fish these areas. These are places I actually fish, and the reason I choose these places during the summer months. So with that, let's get to it. Okay guys, so as you can see, there's this long point here, and this is primarily one of my favorite summer spots. And it looks like a point. Actually, as a matter of fact, these are windbreaks. That's a long chunk rock windbreak, and there's rocks to the left and right hand side of that red line I just drew there. And then down at the bottom, as you can see, there's a light blue area. That's in between. There's another chunk rock section of windbreak. So there's a funnel, and what I'm showing you here is there's a natural flow of water current that flows in through here. Now the lines don't depict that. The lines just depict the gradual slope of the angle. But there is a natural current that flows through here. And a lot of times I'll set right here on the edge of this point. And the reason I'm doing that, that's my kayak, obviously. I didn't draw a kayak, but that's my kayak. But the reason I do this is I throw out towards that deeper water, and I'll drag those baits up over, swim those baits up over that deep spot into that shallower water. And there's some structure and stuff out here where I'm drawing the fish. There's some brush piles and some other things. There's actually a house structure at one point somewhere along here. But if you can find areas like this, guys, in the summertime, those funnels, those bridges, those outlets like that, to where, you know, it's deep to shallow pretty quick, those are great places for summertime bass fishing. The bait fish get pushed through here, and guys, it's just, I found, in my experience anyways, I found that to be the best. So but with that being said, let's move on to this next clip. So guys, this is the second point I want to show you guys, and this is one of my second favorite spots for summertime bass fishing, and you guys will see this here in a second. But basically there's a channel that runs, and you can see that red line. Now what those black lines are, when they're closer together, it means it's steeper drop off. The further apart, the more gradual the drop off. So that guys gives you an idea on this map. But with the arrow here, I'm pointing to this point, and the reason I'm pointing to this point is because this point, as you can see, those little black lines get real close together. That's a good drop off for later in the evening. And typically what I will do is I will start, well, you guys will see, but basically this is 8 to 10 feet, all this blue area, and I'm just marking it off so you guys can see it. But it's a flat, it's a huge flat that has a lot of rock in it. It's got a lot of grass, a lot of structure like that. And so typically what I'm going to do of a morning is these fish are going to be coming in to feed on this flat, and you see that. I know, guys, I'm sorry about the rudimentary drawing, but and these bait fish here,
are going to be up on that flat. And so those big fish are going to be coming in to feed on those bait fish. And they're going to do it all the way down this flat early of the morning. They're going to be running those bait fish in there. And so typically I'll set up my kayak on this end of the flat, and then I'm going to work down to the other end of that flat. And the reason that is because yeah, there's some deep water to my left, and I can come back and work that whole area, but I found that this works better working that shallow flat of a morning and then heading out directly to that point. Because with that point where it drops off there, they seem to stage on that point, right there where I just circled around, but they seem to stage on that point where that dark black is, and it turns out to be a good area. It's been a good area for several years now, and they'll stage there, let the wind blow that bait fish, and they'll just ambush those fish there. So with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for these two videos.
Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope some of you guys out there learned something off of it. You know, if you did, if you liked the video, go ahead and click that like button. If you're new to the page, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this content, as well as hit that notification bell up there at the top. That way you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. So guys, my plan this week is to get out. I don't know how feasible that's going to be. It's supposed to rain all week long, and I really don't, I just don't know. So hopefully I can get out there and create some more good content for you guys. But with that being said, I can't thank you guys enough for sharing, liking, subscribing, everything. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the great comments. And guys, that's going to be it for today's video. So with that being said, until the next adventure.